Wakenya mbona mnashtuka with what's happening in Mandera? The Jubaland forces issue. This is a very long story. Actually, it's been happening as far as during the time of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The Jubaland forces, they are the people who are the true custodians of the illegal sugar smuggling, illegal human trafficking, illegal sale of arms across the 800-kilometer porous border. This is a president, their leader is called Ahmed Madobe. Apparently, Somalia have regional states. And the person who is in charge of the state of Jubaland is called Ahmed Madobe. When Ahmed Madobe was vying for the elections for the seat, Aden Duale, who was a Kenyan politician back then, the leader of majority for the National Assembly, he outrightly vocalized and voiced his support for Ahmed Madobe. Even when the president of the country was saying Kenya is using Jubaland leader to destabilize Somalia, that was Abdullahi Farmajo, Uhuru Kenyatta never cared. In 2020, they sent a delegation to Jubaland without informing the leadership of the Federal Republic of Somalia. Okay? Ahmed Madobe has been to Nairobi making behind-the-door deals and discussions with the Kenyan government. So when they are so comfortable roaming around, they know nobody is going to hold them accountable. Nobody is going to uphold Article 248 of the Kenyan Constitution, respecting our territorial integrity. You remember with what happened in Lake Turkana, when the Merile community crossed across the border from Ethiopia and they killed some innocent Turkana fishermen, and they went back. Nobody was asking them anything. Go and read the report by this guy called Jacob Rasmussen. You will be able to understand how millions of money are being shared between our forces, Al-Shabaab, and the Jubaland state forces. So these guys, they know what they are doing. They are big-time beneficiaries of this system. Okay? So Wakenya musishtuke when, I don't know what is her name, Soipan Tuya, the CS for Defense, she doesn't know a thing about what's happening in Jubaland. This is a leader, the Madobe guy, who is at crossroad with President Muhammad and before that, President Abdullahi Farmajo. Okay? And the money they loot, they use the same way, the same analogy of what's happening in South Sudan. All the money, all the lootings of the war is being invested in Nairobi. So the taxpayers' money that is being looted from the Somali people is being invested in Nairobi also. We are dealing with a cross-border international human trafficking, arms smuggling, and illegal sugar smuggling syndicate. Wakenya musishtuke. Gone are the days when people respect our territorial integrity. Mukae mukijua. And they will be here to stay. Mandera is like their home. Nobody is going to chase them out. Gone are the days when the forces of this country walikuwa na respect as far as Kosovo, as far as Bosnia, as far as Sierra Leone. Okay? So Wakenya musishtuke. And the lead contact person, because he is not going to be fired, is Aden Duale. Yeah. Na ndugu zetu Waluya, mutakuwa munajiuliza maswali. Why up to now Mumia Sugar Company is running and yet they are incurring losses? The moment you will understand how this illegal sugar smuggling is just being repackaged in the name of Mumia Sugar with cabs doing nothing, and then we find it on our shelves in the supermarkets and retail shops, ndo mutakuja kujua how our resources are being looted left, right, and center. Meanwhile, yeah, sarakasi iendelee. William Ruto is untouched. No, non-remorseful. They are there to stay. They've always been there. It's only that the media came out and said Jubaland forces are just harassing people in Mandera. They've been doing that with Uganda, as far as I think during the time of Mwai Kibaki. You remember very well. During the general election violence, there were reports of armed forces, the LRA, crossing the border into Kisumu and harassing the residents of Kisumu. Kenyans, let us eat our own ignorance. Ukitembea hapa nje useme territorial integrity, supremacy of the people. This is not how these people in leadership.
So it seems that many of followers don't understand what is happening right now in southern Somalia, the kind of conflict that is going on right now in southern Somalia, and the spillover of this conflict into a border town in Kenya, that is Mandera. So let me give you a brief background of what is happening in Jubaland. So this is what's happening. So there's this guy called Ahmed Madowe. He's the leader. He was the leader of Raskambodi Brigade. He's a leader who was, supported by Kenya and Somalia and Ethiopia to become the leader of Jubaland regional administration. So Jubaland was created as a federal state in Somalia in 2012, and he became the leader. So since then, he has been the leader. And since then, I think twice or three times, he did elections in which the central government of Somalia had problems with. They said the elections were not free and fair. And last year, the last election that he held was last year, November 2024. And in that elections, the central government of Somalia refused to recognize him as the winner. They said the elections were not free and fair, and basically he elected himself. So the bone of contention, began from there. So the central government of Somalia issued a warrant of arrest for him, and he also issued a warrant of arrest for the president of Somalia. So regional states in Somalia, they have leaders like this, and they are called presidents in Somalia. So if you bring them together, Somalia as a country has 6 regional states. So all of them, they are called presidents. So it seems Somalia has 7 presidents. If you add the overall president or the president of the Republic of Somalia. So away from that, this guy was helped by Kenya and specifically the Moi Kibaki administration to capture Kismayo. So you remember how Kenya captured Kismayo. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about his role in Ras Kamboni Brigade, in Al Ittihad Al Islamia, in the Islamic Court Unions. But this video, I want to briefly discuss and explain the current conflict that is ongoing that in southern Somalia that has spilled over into Mandera in Kenya. So about 2 weeks ago, the central government of Somalia appointed an individual who also was one time the interior minister of this administration that is led by this guy that you see here of Jubaland. So the guy is called Abdirashid Janan. He was appointed as the director of the National Intelligence and Security Agency of the Republic of Somalia, and he was appointed as the director for Gedo region. So Gedo is still within the administration that this guy leads, that is Jubaland. So that guy who was appointed left Mogadishu, Somalia, and landed in a military camp known as Camp UK in Beret Hawo within Gedo region. So immediately he landed, the Jubaland forces who are loyal to this guy now, his forces, were given instructions to attack the camp where that guy landed so as to discourage him from representing and being there on behalf of the central government of Somalia. So the bone of contention is between Jubaland administration and the central government of Somalia. So those guys attacked a camp belonging to the Somali National Army, and the Somali National Army mounted a very, very successful defense. They defended their camp, they repelled the attack by Jubaland forces, and they pushed them back. So that is in Beret Hawo, which is about 50 kilometers from the border with Kenya, just across Mandera, but on the Somali side. So what happened is that there in Beret Hawo is where the Somali National Army are based. So about 5 kilometers from there, the Jubaland forces are based. It's called Tula. I mean, it's a village that is on the outskirts of Beret Hawo that is also close to Mandera, but on the side of Mandera. You understand that? So what happened is this: once the Somali National Army defended their base, they decided to revenge. And 3 days later, that is Monday, on 11th this week. Today is Friday 15th. On 11th, early morning, 4 a.m., the Somali National Army carried out a massive attack, a massive revenge attack on that, our base belonging to the Jubaland forces in Tulo. I mean, what followed is that the general who was commanding those troops in Jubaland, the Jubaland troops in Tulu, I mean, within Belet Hawo, was killed alongside about 100 of his soldiers, and the rest ran into Mandera. So the Somali National Army chased them into Mandera, and up to now, as we speak, the Somali National Army is shelling Mandera. The reason why the Somali National Army is shelling Mandera and attacking Mandera is because these guys were allowed by the Kenyan government to create makeshift camps along the Kenyan-Somali border, but on the Mandera side. They are actually inside Kenya with a few kilometers inside. So the Somali National Army got intelligence that these guys were based just across the border and they want a revenge. Because also when they attacked the Somali National Army in Camp UK, they killed several Somali National Army soldiers. So the Somali National Army responded. And now the conflict is becoming a bit complex because even the general who was appointed yesterday by this guy to go and bring the troops together, plan a counter-offensive and break the defense of the Somali National Army and enter Somalia failed because the guy who was appointed, the general who was appointed, decided to pledge allegiance to the Somali National Army, and he actually, instead of going to Mandera, he went to Bered Hawo to Camp UK where the Somali National Army are based and surrendered himself and the troops who were with him and said he is ready to fight alongside the Somali National Army to fight against the Jubaland forces. So the Jubaland administration believes that they are, at par with the central government of Somalia. And now the central government of Somalia wants to punish this guy by either removing him or dividing the Jubaland administration. So Gedo will become another regional administration. That's according to the plan of the Somali government. That is according to the plan of the central Somali government. That is what the President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud wants to do with Jubaland administration. He wants not only to remove this guy, but also to divide the Jubaland administration and create two regional administration and reduce the power of this guy. So this guy is very powerful. He has very many MPs. Jubaland administration is very big. I've shared the map here so that you can see where Jubaland administration is. It in the entire Somali border with Kenya, that is Jubaland administration. So to the north, it also borders Ethiopia. It's it contributes a lot of members of parliament because of its because it's a huge piece of land, and a lot of clans live there. Not only Ogaden, but a lot of clans live there, and they contribute a lot of MPs, about 30 MPs, to the federal parliament of Somalia. That is the central government. And this guy, given that he controls those MPs, he can shoot down any motion by the central government of Somalia. He has, been frustrating the central government of Somalia for a very, very long time, and now it seems the current president of Somalia wants to deal with him once and for all. Either they want to remove him or to divide the region. But it is said that the Somali government now wants to create a new regional administration within southern Somalia, that is Jubaland, divide Jubaland into two, remain with Jubaland as as it is, and also get the region as a different regional administration. So Jubaland will be divided into two. Also, Puntland last month was divided into two because these two leaders, the two leaders of Jubaland and Puntland, are becoming very, very stubborn. They are disturbing successive, government. They removed the government of Farmajo. They removed the government of Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud. And now Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, given that he is back now, he wants to deal with this guy once and for all. So that is what I was trying to explain. I will explain how Raskamboni Brigade was created, where this individual comes from, how he ended up becoming the regional leader of Jubaland, how the Kibaki administration helped him with the help of Yusuf Haji and also the Ethiopian government. So I will try and explain how even General Karangi helped recruit Kenyans to fight for this guy, the Raskamboni Brigade. That is a video that I will try and do it separately.